start the recording. I want to welcome everyone tonight. I'm going to just do a few housekeeping tips and then turn it over to our athletic director, Doug Gillen. First of all, I just want to introduce myself and have a moment to introduce our folks from the Career Development Center. My name is Susan McCracken. Some of you I know, some of you have seen in this virtual world before. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight. And I also really want to thank you just for your time. I have 2 kids who are in college, and I am super aware of how many hours y'all are spending on Zoom. And so for you to be here is a huge commitment, because I know your brains are dead and you are tired, but we are very excited about what we have planned for you tonight. So the name of our program is AppState Pro Day, the practice of networking. And what we're going to really talk about is, what is that? Demystifying that. Doug will do our intro, our welcome. We'll have a panel, then each employer will have about a minute and a half to give you their elevator pitch. I think Pierre sent you some information about how to do an elevator pitch or your quick introduction yourself. And then we're going to break out into 10-minute sessions of breakout rooms. So we'll have about 30 minutes of that. And that's really a time for you to practice sort of cold talking to people, introducing yourself and just sharing a little bit about yourself. So with that, let me ask JP and Deanne to introduce themselves, and then we'll turn it over to you, Doug.
Okay, I guess I'll go first because I got my mute unmuted. Never mind. Hi, I'm JP. I've been on Zoom all day. I apologize. I am the career coach for the Beaver College of Health Sciences and Athletics. So I just want to remind all your students, if you need help with resumes, cover letters, anything like that, I have an open resume clinic every Tuesday, 11 to 1, where you're all invited to come. It's listed under the events and handshake. It is first come, first serve. There is a waiting room, but I will let you know how many people are ahead of you and what the time frame looks like. But I hope to meet every single one of you. And if you need anything, if you make an appointment through handshake, you will go to your regular career coach. But if you should need something that I can help you with, my email is perryja@appstate.edu. Take care.
Evening, everyone. I'm Deanne, and I'm a proud App grad, and try to support athletics any chance I get. And I am on the employer relations team, and specifically, I'll spend most of my time working with externally with employers. So I do most of our outreach. Some of my great employer friends are here on the screen, and Pierre has brought some of his. So I think we just have a great group of you all to join our students tonight and welcome your feedback. We want to serve our students. And so if you ever feel like you've got a need that we can help you with in terms of identifying opportunities, just let us know. I like helping students. I'll meet with students when I have time. And I think I'm really good about talking about different types of opportunities and organizations and just helping you from that lens. So thanks for your time. You've got a tough job being a student athlete. We appreciate all the hard work that you bring to our university and the spirit that it all gives us. And have a great night tonight. Thanks.
Great. So Doug, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll be very brief, but I really want to thank Susan, JP, and Deanne for all the work that you do on behalf of our students. So thank you very much. And certainly want to thank all of our employers. I can't thank you enough for spending time like this with our student athletes, and certainly our student athletes for engaging. This is really, really important. I know that you all have a lot of other things to do, practice, school, etc. But this is kind of the next 40 years that we're talking about tonight. So really can't thank everybody enough for engaging with our student athletes and our student athletes engaging. Certainly we talk a lot in the athletic department about, we want to win every time we put the jersey on, but we really win when our student athletes graduate, when they walk across the stage and get their degree. We spend a lot of time talking about that and get a job. So we want that next step. There's an and graduate, get a job. I was actually on the phone today with one of our former student athletes doing exactly this. So he called me today, said, hey, I'm trying to get a job in this, and who can you connect me with? And so like all of us are networking all the time. And so as an example here, I was like, yeah, somebody just sent me a job posting. So I sent it his way. So he was able to connect today just by networking. So I networked him with somebody that's got a job open in what he wants to do. And then there's 3 other people I was able to connect him with as well. So I certainly would offer that up to all the student athletes on the call, that anybody could be a networker for you. And I am happy to do that for anybody that want my help as the athletic director and connecting you with folks that we know in business. But again, thanks everybody. Employers, I know you all are busy and been on Zoom all day today too, but cannot thank you enough for spending time with our student athletes tonight. So Susan, I'll turn it back over to you and listen. So appreciate everybody being on.
Great. Thank you, Doug. And I know y'all all know Pierre, but also want to recognize Pierre. We have pretty much adopted Pierre this year in our office. Kind of hope it's permanent, not just a foster situation, that you will join us and stay with us. He has brought enormous energy to us, and we've been really proud of the opportunities we've had to do things with our student athletes. So Pierre, thank you. Great.
Susan, thank you for saying that. Pierre does an amazing job. So Pierre, you're not on this one screen, but thank you for all you do for our student athletes.
Now we don't want him to get too, we want to keep him humble there. So, okay, well, we're going to jump into our panel, and we've asked a couple of employers and employer types to serve on this panel, and we really want to talk about nuts and bolts of what networking is. I just finished reading a book about New York City and kind of this whole culture of New York. And sometimes when we think about networking, we think about like Ivy League and going to the right school and growing up in all these, and maybe a family where people all know each other and there's a lot of socialization and sort of networking is almost, I think, sometimes kind of a negative thing. It feels maybe insincere. It feels like you're climbing the ladder. And I think at the end of the day, networking is being genuine and authentic and connecting with people. It's being able to share what you can do to help somebody. And each one of you has talents. I mean, each one of you is a mentor to someone younger than you. So in many ways, you're networking with the younger student athletes here and high school students. It's also the ability to let people know what it is that you need and to put yourself out there and be available. And I think that hopefully we will give you some tips today to help it feel less intimidating, because sometimes when we have that image of networking, it's putting on a suit and tie and going to some event. And I was sharing with Orville today that my daughter was on a trip out west over Christmas. And unfortunately for all of us, the transmission went out of the car in Colorado. And so she spent 3 days, extra days, being in the location. Well, through that location, she connected with someone who's an employer. She had an interview a week and a half ago, and she's got a summer job in Colorado. That's networking. It's taking advantage of a situation and using it to your benefit. So our panelists that we have tonight, we have Orville Jarrett, who'll introduce himself. We have Mike Townsend. We have Amber Lawrence, and we have Toronto Thomas, who was in your shoes not too long ago. So first of all, and I'm just going to let the 4 of them speak up. If each of you would, first of all, tell us a little bit, just tell us who you are, what your role is, and briefly tell us about the role that networking has played in your journey and your success.
I can kick us off here if we want. My name is Amber Lawrence. I'm the Campus Relations Manager at the Select Group. So basically my job, I am on our talent acquisition team, and essentially my role is coming and working with new students, recruiting, as well as doing personal and professional development as well. So really excited to be with you guys tonight. We hire a lot of student athletes. I think it's been a while since I've checked the numbers, but last time I did check, it was about 1/3 of our entire employees were former student athletes. So definitely a lot of skills that you guys are getting that maybe you don't even realize, but hopefully through these different programs, you've seen a lot more of that. So excited to be with you guys tonight and talk about networking.
I guess I'll go next.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Toronto Thomas. Like Susan said before, I was a student athlete at AppState in 2017. right, Doug? I think 2017. Was there for my graduate degree from 2017 to 2019. Then I worked for Doug for a yearish, I think, and then now I'm here at App Healthcare, kind of the COVID team lead for a 3-county region team. And needless to say, we're very busy right now because we're dealing with COVID and vaccinations. But one thing that I've kind of realized being an athlete is that you have certain health knowledge that most normal people do not, and you don't realize it until you're around a rural community like Watauga and Avery County and Allegheny County and things of that nature. So you can put that to use for those of you who are in health sciences and exercise science and things like that.
Thank you.
My name is, should I go ahead? I'm Orville Jarrett. I am the Senior Recruiting Director for Waffle House, and I recruit all the management team and a former student athlete at App. And looking forward to meeting all the student athletes. We definitely hire, I think probably more than a third of our management team are former student athletes. And we are always looking for good, sharp folks to come and join our team.
Excellent. And this is Mike Townsend with Athletes to Careers. I'm actually the Vice President of our Mid-Atlantic / Southeast region, and based in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I spent about 18 years in software sales before joining the Athletes to Careers team. And I've been here now for about 3.5 years. And basically what we do at the core of our business is, we're a no-cost resource for universities and student athletes to really try to help you make that transition from sports into the business world. And kind of answering the question of what has networking, done in my journey in success. And well, I actually started my career in the IT industry. And after about 4 years, one of my mentors came to me and said, Mike, would you like to make a leap and join our sales team? So it was through networking and knowing our leadership teams and things like that helped me make that leap. Now we fast forward several years, and the way I went from software sales into Athletes to Careers was I was actually just networking with one of my neighbors. And there's only about 14 of us in our company. And my neighbor said, hey, a good friend of mine owns this company, Athletes to Careers, and I'd like to connect the two of you. So just a couple of small examples of how networking can affect your life in many different ways.
Great. Thank you, Mike. So Orville and Amber, this question is for you. Can you talk a little bit more about networking, particularly from the perspective of being a talent recruiter and being a person who is on a lot of campuses, either in person or virtually, and just talk about some of the skills and strategies that you have observed from students who are successful doing that when you meet them in a campus setting. And either of you can go first.
Well, I notice on student athletes, if they have a outgoing personality, and most student athletes do have an outward personality, and being able to put yourself out there in front of the folks that may be looking for a student athlete to come on board with their team, but getting out there in front of, whether it be your pastor, a mentor, or somebody a neighbor that you've looked up to in the past, just somebody that's professional. All those folks have hundreds of contacts within their network that they could probably put you in touch with, and just being able to put yourself out there. And it might be somewhat awkward sometimes, or even intimidating, but definitely just putting yourself out there to make sure that they know who you are and what you're looking for. And if they know what you're looking for, they can always point you in a direction or give you some advice on where to go within that network of theirs or someone else's.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, and expand too of, you're going to these networking events, say you're talking to a recruiter or hiring manager, and maybe they don't have a role you're interested in right then, or you're not excited about the company. They're all connected, right? As a campus recruit, when we're in person, we network with each other, right? You don't know what you don't know. So you learn from each other. You're figuring out different strategies of meeting students. So, kind of know the other recruiters they hire for. And then in addition to that, they could potentially move to a different company too down the road, right? So staying in contact there. But another thing that comes to mind for me is definitely the initiative part, right? If you take that, go up, start a conversation. When I have a job opening pop up, my mind is immediately going to those students who stood out to me, came up, introduced themselves, followed up with me, connected with me on LinkedIn, maybe sent me a short message about their interest and their excitement about what they learned. And that's going to be where my mind goes immediately when any openings come up, people who really took that initiative to connect with me.
Great. Thank you, Amber. I'm curious, Amber, if you and Orville could speak to the value of people like me and Deanne, JP, and Doug. Doug mentioned that he was meeting and talking to an alum today, but are we people that students should think about networking with?
Absolutely. What if I was just like, no? No, absolutely, right? This team they want to help you get jobs. Like that's what they want to do. That's why they come to work. That's the passion that they have. And they know the employers. They're the ones employers are going to get in front of you, to be a part of events like this. So they're going to know all the openings coming up. They're going to be knowing who's hiring, what they typically hire for, talking to those recruiters, learning more about the company culture. Maybe they've talked to you about what you're looking for. They can help you make a match there too. So yes, take advantage of your resources from the university. That's something, looking back now, being on the other side, I'm like, I did not do that enough. And I don't think I realized how much there was to offer from career services.
Right.
Yeah, definitely ditto on anything that Amber has said. But the crazy thing about career services, it is almost the most underutilized department by students. And it's the last minute, hey, I graduated in a month and I don't have a resume and I don't know where to start. You got to be proactive and take advantage of the career services or your career advisor and get started early. You can't wait till that last month, because at the last month, someone else has got the job. So you definitely want to get in there early and often and know who those folks are, because like Amber said, those are the folks that stay in contact with the employers and put us in front of you. So that would be my advice, is just get in there early and often and stay in touch with those folks that are able to put you in front of the right recruiter to have that right fit, because not only is the job important, but the right fit is important for that person.
Great. Thank you, Orville. Toronto, I was wondering if you could speak a little bit, and you've already alluded to this, just the experience that our student athletes have, that they have a knowledge base that's higher than most around health issues, if that's an area they're interested in going into. But can you talk more about how at the student level, our student athletes can start building their networks? Maybe a couple of things that you did.
I think one of the most underutilized networking tools you could possibly have is your professor. Your professors, like, you don't want to go to that class for 50 minutes 3 times a week. We know after a 6 a.m. workout, believe me, I know. But you go to those office hours when nobody else is there, not even just to talk about work, just to talk about the job experiences they've had, especially in my grad school program. And I'm still in contact with many of my professors. And most of them have high networks. And because they've been working for so long and they've been in a job for 20 years, and then they want to teach you all, that's a large network base that you cannot make up yourself. I think talking to your professors and talking to administrators. When I was in school, I don't know if any of you all know her, but I'll talk to Brittany Whiteside. I walked into her office. A lot of our administrators have an open door policy. I know Doug does. I know Pierre does. Go, instead of taking that right to the weight room, take that left to the scary hall that no one walks down sometimes, and you'll find a lot of knowledge down there. And you'll find a lot of networking possibilities. Even if you're just sitting there for 20 minutes once every week and not have anything to talk about, but just come with a question and then follow up with it, follow up with the question, follow up with, well, how do I do this? What's the next step? Next thing you know, you might be applying to a grad school program you didn't even know existed, or you might be going to a job that you didn't even know you'll be interested in. And so I think those two things as a student are just simple things that takes that extra 10 or 20 minutes out of your day that can build your network while you're in school still.
Great. Thank you, Toronto. The other thing that student athletes often have an opportunity to do is you're going to be asked to come to a presentation before a board, the Board of Trustees, the Yosef Board, the Alumni Council. And I was talking to someone who's recently graduated who was a student athlete, and they said, yeah, I was in this Yosef meeting and all these names are there. So I know who these people are. So I'm sending them separate messages because we know y'all are either DMing or texting or you're chatting in the box. So use that to your advantage. So now I want to talk a little bit. We've said, you know, go down the hall, go meet them. But right now that's harder to do. So Mike, can you talk a little bit about this whole virtual networking? What does that look like? And I think a really important question is LinkedIn a good thing to use or not? Is it just a gimmick or does it really help people connect? So if you can talk some about the virtual aspects of networking, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the short answer is that, yes, LinkedIn is a very valuable tool that has really come a long way over the last several years. And if somebody doesn't want to network with you, then they shouldn't be on LinkedIn, right? Because that's really the whole purpose of it. So when we're working with the student athletes and doing some of our preparations to get ready for the interview process, you know, as part of our career coaching, we always strongly encourage that before any interview, go to LinkedIn and connect with anyone that you know is going to be part of that interview, right? It's for a couple of reasons. One, it's to learn about their background. You know, maybe they went to the same school, maybe they were a student athlete back in the day. You're just looking for some commonalities to maybe, you know, as an icebreaker for the interview. But most importantly, I always say it's never too early to start building your business network. You know, and somebody mentioned it earlier, the person you interview with today, maybe they don't hire you today, but maybe 3, 4, 5 years down the road, they're in a different position, they're in a different company, and now they'll remember you, and now maybe you have the experience they're looking at, and they will absolutely remember you. So it's a really small world out there in all reality. So I would say absolutely any opportunity you have to make a presence on LinkedIn, it's all very positive.
Okay, great. I want to open up for questions in a minute, but let's talk about when it's not all positive. What are some of those sort of nightmare stories? I actually lately have a resume that has no name on it that I've been using as an example of what not to do. And this is truly a resume, not from somebody here, but from elsewhere. They forgot their name, so it's kind of hard to know who to call. But can y'all talk a little bit about, sometimes I hear students say, well, I don't want to bug them, or I don't want to be pesky. And yet we all know we are very, very busy human beings. And especially right now in COVID, I think at least my attention span is like that of a gnat. So any hints on what is too much to do and when students might be a little persistent? And I'll just open that up to anyone.
I can jump in. I have a couple of stories that come to mind pretty quick. You know, interviewing every day as part of my role, you know, you definitely get some situations that we can laugh about and are funny, but they're good to learn from, right? You can definitely be a little too much. It's 2021. We all have caller ID. I can see if you call me back to back to back, right? Don't do that to a recruiter. They see it. Recruiters and hiring managers are people too, right? They're busy. They may not get back to you right away, but definitely they are going to. I think it's totally okay to like send reminders if somebody maybe reaches out to you or says, hey, I'll follow up with you on this, and you don't hear from them. You know, maybe send them an email, check in, but definitely just, you know, kind of see the boundaries there. But I was trying to think too of something, one that you were saying earlier too about like just networking and how it could sometimes be negative. I do want to just kind of point out, as you're working with people, you're networking, they're connecting with other employers and hiring managers. Always keep in mind that that connection doesn't mean just a job.
Hopefully we'll get you back here in a minute, Amber.
Being a recruiter, having a professional email address, you know, a lot of times someone may put, you know, I've got a story on a student, not necessarily from App, but the student's email address was bballer@gmail.com, you know, so make sure that you have a professional email address, and also update your voicemail message to put your name on there. So when a recruiter or someone that's calling you about a possible potential job, that you don't have some crazy ringtone, or it has your voice on there so they know that they've got the right person.
And that you have a voicemail. That's like the first step.
Yeah.
And that it's clear.
Yes. Amber, you froze as you were in mid-sentence.
Guys, I can't tell you how long I was talking to myself till I realized that I was frozen. That was embarrassing. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm frozen right now. I feel like I was mid-rant, so I don't know what I was saying, but I think the last point I just wanted to make is, you know, be really receptive of connections and people connecting you, but don't just assume, hey, this introduction means I'm going to get a job or an internship right off the bat. Just being aware that, you know, that's somebody saying, hey, I think this is a good person to talk to, but going into that being really curious, asking questions, you know, getting into the interview process, hopefully, but knowing that that's just kind of an introduction and helping you get in front of the right people and getting your foot in the door kind of thing.
Right. Well, and I think along those lines, you all know each other. So it's kind of like, I call it don't burn bridges. Don't go over to Waffle House and talk badly about the select group. And Mike, you work with lots of different employers. So especially interested in your perspective on this question, you know, because you probably have people who are being recruited by multiple folks that you work directly with.
Yeah, I guess if we're looking for a couple of war stories, a couple of, I guess, things not to do, if you will, would be like just last week with one of my business partners, they had a panel interview set up with about 4 or 5 different sales directors, what have you, and they just didn't show up. You know, didn't show up, didn't call, say, hey, Mike, something came up, this and that and the other thing. So not only does that look bad on you, it looks bad on all of us because we're not communicating, right? So little things like this that come up. And then another example would be with another business partner. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, there was not actually one of my candidates, one of my colleagues' candidates, but they had already told us, hey, sorry, we're going to pass on this particular candidate, and here's why. Well, that candidate kept calling directly to the business partner, trying to follow up with status. And they're like, Mike, we told you 4 times they're not getting hired. And so little things like this that, you know, as a you know, a recruiter or a career coach, as we like to call ourselves, you know, we're here to try to help you as much as we can. So, you know, we always say as a career coach that just like you had, you know, a coach for whatever sport to help you get to, you know, the next level in your game, that's what we want to try to help you do with your career as well. So if you try to listen to some of the pointers that we try to give you, it's just going to make the recruiting process hopefully a little bit easier.
Great, thank you. So what questions do we have from any of our student athletes? And you can just unmute yourself if you want to put yourself out there.
I have a question. Hey everyone, my name is Darren. I'm on the volleyball team. So Orville, I know you were talking about how your team likes to hire a lot of student athletes. And I was wondering, between student athletes, and anyone can answer this, like how do you stand out when you're competing with other student athletes? Because you all have that in common.
Well, I guess just putting yourself out there, first of all, and shown the interest, because I think employers are open to any student athletes because they know they are a competitive, they've got a competitor and somebody that's competitive. In our business, everybody competes. I mean, it seems, we are paid on a what we call a performance based compensation. So, the better you perform, the more money you make with our company. Not to say that the folks that don't perform don't make good money, but they, if you are a top competitor or top performer, you're definitely going to stand out. And then also your career path or track is a lot faster than someone else's if you're performing better.
If I can jump in here too, I thought of one additional thing I wanted to share to that question. I think student athlete or not, right, you need to go into an interview confident and knowing what skills you have so you can show that interviewer that you are the right person for the job. And just keeping that in mind, I feel like everybody has great skills. You just have to learn how to sell it and how to sell yourself, because that's all an interview is. So looking at the job description beforehand, what are they looking for? What skills and experience have you had, whether it's completely, parallel, or you can find some way to spin it, but selling yourself to that job, to that company, based on what you have on already.
And this is Mike with Athletes to Careers. I got another comment on that too. So one of the things that we prepare our student athletes for is what we call a brag book. Evidence defeats disbelief, right? Anybody can put whatever they want on their resume, right? But if I can actually show you pictures of being the vice president of the SAC committee, or winning this award, or doing this particular, whatever type of accomplishment that you have, letters of recommendation, awards and achievements, references, success stories. If I can actually physically show you that I'm backing up what I'm telling you with evidence, that's one of the things that we always try to promote to give you that competitive advantage.
And one thing, if I could add to that, I found when coming out of school, kind of with little experience, that's when it's kind of hardest to find a job with little experience, is that taking some of these projects that you do, especially kind of like your capstones and things for seniors that are kind of the longer projects, more tedious projects, and takes like certain research and things of that nature when you're doing qualitative and quantitative research, anything with data, anything like that you can show, like Mike said, is very valuable, especially when you're dealing with data nowadays. Numbers is kind of the name of the game for most people. In any job, you're going to be dealing with some type of numbers or some type of data, whether quantitative or qualitative. And so when you're coming out of school, you don't want to throw away those projects. Keep them on a thumb drive. Like I kept all mine on the thumb drive just because it was easier for me, but keep them on a thumb drive, and you might be able to flip back to those and say, this showed this on my resume and correlated, kind of how Mike was saying. So you don't necessarily have to have 2 or 3 years of experience to be able to make that type of book. You don't realize that you're already gaining experience throughout your college career. And I think that's kind of a big tool that most student athletes or most students kind of miss coming out of college. They're just relying on the resume itself.
That's a really great point, Toronto. Are there any other questions from student athletes? We probably have time for one more.
Sure, I'll ask a question. My name's Evan Hart. I'm on the track and field team here. So I want to ask a question about like the hiring process. So you have somebody that comes in, they have a degree that pertains to whatever the job is, but they're quiet, they're not making a lot of eye contact. But somebody else comes in and they have a degree that might not necessarily pertain to the job, but they're very social, very personable. Which person would you be more likely to hire?
Well, this is Mike. From my perspective, dealing with lots of different business partners, I always, with the very, very few exceptions, I don't think I've ever come across anybody where they said, nope, they don't have the right degree. It's more about, do you have, yes, a lot of the roles that we have are business to business sales roles. We've got management trainee roles. It's more about you as a person, right? Are you coachable? Do you have the grind to get into a sales type role? Are you the right person for the position versus really what the specific degree is in?
yeah, the degree just kind of shows that you've got the fortitude to get through school, but also, you know, like Mike says, you've got to be the person that's the right fit for that position, whether it be, you know, food service or sales. It's just having that personality. The person that may not have the outgoing personality, maybe after you talk to them and tell them, hey, here are the skill set that you have, you may not be the right fit for this position. But like Amber was talking about earlier, the recruiters talk to other recruiters and say, hey, you might want to go see Amber because she's got a position that's your personality and your fit, and you'd be a good fit for her. So just kind of putting yourself out there, even though you may be a little bit reserved, is just trying to figure out in what direction that you want to go. And that recruiter that may not think that you're a right fit for them, but they may know someone that you're a right fit for.
Yeah, I agree. I think there could be some industries maybe where the type of degree is really specific, or certain roles maybe, but for the most part of what we hire for, especially entry-level roles, we hire all different majors, degrees, whatnot. I really focus on the things I can't teach you, right? Our managers, it's going to be a lot harder for somebody to come in and be goal-driven, right? If goals just don't matter to somebody, we can't incentivize that to be something important to them. Or, you know, different things like that, like the ability to build relationships and whatnot. And, you know, being willing to, for salespeople specifically, like you have to kind of have that, right? You have to be willing to do that, or willing to learn. So the coachability, that's huge. You know, attention to detail, being able to be, you know, metrics driven, right? Having goals and being actually excited and motivated by that. So throughout the process, those are most of the things that I look for. You know, we can teach you the sales cycle. We can teach you how to go out there and have a successful meeting, but I'm going to focus more on like those soft skills mostly.
And piggybacking off of that, specifically for the interviewing process, one thing that I've kind of gone through myself and also while interviewing people is that you want to make an interview like a conversation with the old friend. You want to make an interview, you want to make the interviewer seem like they've known you for 2 or 3 years within those 30 to 15 minutes or so. Now, it may seem hard, but once you say you do that background work that everybody's talking about, you may find a common ground upon something that fits your character. Say the principles of a business was integrity and trust and things of that nature. You can speak upon those things and go into a interview with questions at the end, because you don't want it just to be a question and answer type ordeal. You want it to be kind of a back and forth, and it turns to a conversation, and then they'll see your personal. That's a way to show that you can spark a conversation with anybody within a 15-minute doing anything. If you're not able to communicate like that and able to kind of talk to people within that 15 or 20-minute window, I say practice. I practice a lot. It's not weird to practice. I see a lot of people with their roommates right beside them. Practice. I know it may seem weird, but practice. Like literally, you could find interview questions. I'm pretty sure at the Career Center, you could get a practice interview going. You could get a practice script. If you practice on how to answer weird questions or how to answer like certain questions that you could just give a one word or one sentence answer to, and you could kind of go into detail and then turn it back on to them to kind of make it a conversation, it'll help immensely. And Amber and Orville and Mike may back me up on that, since that is their job for hiring and everything. I've only hired a few people, but that's kind of made the interview process easier for me, especially coming out of school where you don't have that 4-page long resume of being a vice president of this, of sales, and then you don't have that to back up on and say, here, I can do this. These are the numbers I can show you. That you have to sell yourself to them, and also you want that business to sell them to you. So it's kind of a two-way street.
Well, you don't want to have that 4-page resume. You want to have that 1-page resume, and the resume is just to get you to interview, and then you can tell them. So just make sure the stuff on the resume is factual and stuff that will get you that interview. You can tell them about all the rest of the good things about you once you got that interview. But yeah, try to keep your resume to 1 page, because as recruiters, we know that you're fresh out of college and you may not have that 20 years of experience, but put the stuff on there, your athletic background, the summer job you may have, or the volunteer work that you've done. And then, that helps you get the interview. And then you could tell them the rest about the skills that you may have developed being an athlete or being a student in school.
Great. So now we're gonna do what Toronto just said. We're gonna practice, practice, practice. And we're gonna start with the employers practicing. What we want to do is do a quick little round robin. I'll call on folks, and the practice is to see how succinct and within the time frame you can do your elevator pitch, so that our students can hear from you, and then we can have a chance for them to get into the rooms and work with you. So to our panelists for that conversation, that was awesome. So many good tips there. There's so much richness here tonight. So all of our student athletes, I hope that you have one nugget that you can take away right now. So let's start off with Officer Cherry. Officer Cherry, tell us about your organization and what you are interested in hiring for currently or in the future.
Hi, everybody. I'm Officer Cherry, the recruiter from Charleston Police Department, the largest municipal agency in South Carolina. I am hiring for the change in law enforcement and the progressive future of the industry. We are looking for athletes because their leadership ability translates, as does the physicality of the job. We also offer multiple things: pension, tuition reimbursement, gym reimbursement, up to a certain amount of money. We also end up losing about 10 to 15 officers a year to the feds, if that's something you're interested in. They like you to have some working experience as well. I am actually an alum of Watauga High School and grew up going to AppState events all through my childhood, and then went off to California to go to college, but super happy to be back, and thank you for the opportunity. Can't wait to meet some of you guys in the breakout room.
Great. And if each of our employers, after you do your introduction, if you would put your name in your chat box, put your name and your contact information. That's the first part of networking, is getting that information. That'd be great. Let's see. How about Chris from Joe Gibbs Racing? Can you go next?
Thanks for having me on here. First off, just the students briefly, you're surrounded by a bunch of people who care about you. Please take full advantage of them. They wouldn't take the time to set up and reach out and have something like this if it wasn't important to them. So you're very blessed and lucky to have such a support staff around you. So that's my 2 cents. Anyway, without further ado, I'm Chris Hall. I'm the Director of Player Development at Joe Gibbs Racing in the athletic department primarily. We race cars for a living, so it's very important for us. We operate in tenths and hundredths of seconds. So I will be looking for athletes, short-term, long-term, coming in for evaluations, because as Coach Gibbs puts on us, we're constantly looking to improve and looking to be the best. And athletes tend to have that drive and, like was being said, the physicality of being able to perform under pressure and at a high level. And that's our day-to-day job. We go in every day and we compete. We compete 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So if you're a grinder and have some grit to you, there's definitely opportunity at Joe Gibbs Racing in the future.
Great, thank you. Let's bounce back to Amber, Select Group, the Select Group.
Sorry, I was typing up my info for you guys. Yeah, so Amber Lawrence, the Select Group. So we hire for a lot of different sales opportunities, but we also hire for all other departments within our organization. So think corporate departments, finance, marketing, HR, IT, accounting, all of those. Right now, the openings we have are actually not sales. I think sometimes we get ourselves stuck in a sales bucket because we hire so many of those too. But right now we're hiring for a finance role as well as a marketing position. So lots of fun opportunities. We are headquartered in Raleigh, North Carolina, but now with us being virtual, we've been virtual since March last year. So that's definitely opening a lot of opportunity as well. So I put a link in the chat. If you want to sign up for emails and whatnot, you can do that, but I'll put my direct email in there for you too if you want to reach out directly.
Great, thank you, Amber. And we have two people from E&J. I don't know, Robert or Claire, which of you would like to speak and tell us about E&J and what you're looking for?
I'll take this, Susan. What's going on, guys? My name is Robert Wallace. I am a alumni of Appalachian State. I was also a member of the football team from 2008 to 2012. So I can say networking does work for athletes. About a little bit about our company, E&J Gallo Winery. Even though I should say we're not just wine, we're also spirits. We are the largest winery in the world. We are currently doing business in over 90 countries. We have a large portfolio that includes brands you might have heard of, like Barefoot Cellars, Apothic, Fry Brothers, Echo Domani. Some of our spirits brands are New Amsterdam, the renowned Pink Whitney, High Noon. So just a few brands you guys might have heard of. Just to put it in perspective, when you walk into a grocery store, we represent at least 30% of what you're looking at typically, just to give you an idea of the size. Our company was founded in 1933, and we are one of the largest and most successful privately held companies in the United States. What we're on campus, or I shouldn't say on campus, what we're virtually looking for in candidates is someone for our sales development leadership program, which, similar to some of the other recruiters, you know, these career paths lead to places outside of sales, but that is the foundation of our business. Athletes typically fit into what we're looking for in so many different aspects. You know, a lot of people have touched on the competitive nature. I believe actually we have 3 representatives from Gallo on this call right now, and I want to say all 3 of them were actually athletes at Appalachian State. So probably not a coincidence, but looking forward to meeting some of you guys.
Great, thank you, Robert. Amy, another renowned company that hires student athletes with Enterprise.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy.
Amy, you just froze. Think you're coming back? Okay, Amy, we are going to come back to you. Pierre, tell us a little bit about the United States Secret Service, and then we'll get Amy back in.
Be glad to. All right, y'all. So one of our breakout rooms is going to consist of a couple representatives from the United States Secret Service. So they'll give you a lot of the background behind what they do, but what they're known for around the world really is the protection of federal officials, mainly the president, the vice president, their families, or whatnot. But again, they'll let you know about the history and how they actually got started, which had nothing to do with that. But we'll have Michelle Japak. She's been in the Secret Service for 17 years. She's worked with a few different presidents, vice presidents, and now she's in the recruiting ranks, trying to hire good Secret Service members. And there will also be Officer Daryl Griggs, who's been with the Secret Service for 10 years. So they'll be on a Microsoft Team link that I'm getting ready to post right now into the chat. And so if you're interested in learning about the Secret Service, just click this link and you can talk with Michelle and Daryl.
Okay, great, Pierre. Amy, did we get you back?
I'm back. I've been wanting to talk this whole time. Frozen. I always worry about what my face looks like whenever my screen freezes too. It's fun. So anyways, my name is Amy Kasari and I am a talent acquisition manager with Enterprise. I am located here in the Greensboro High Point Triad area. And Enterprise Rent-A-Car, I don't know what cut off or what you guys heard or didn't hear, but we are Enterprise Holdings. So we are our umbrella over National and Alamo Rental Car. And we're the #1 in the transportation industry. So basically we hire for that management trainee position, and it's a very competitive sales and customer service based role, which is why student athletes that come on board with Enterprise are so successful, because you guys just have that natural drive to be competitive. You have that natural just determination and that work ethic to really, really take home the championship and be the MVP of your team or the team captain. And so whenever you're, coming to work for Enterprise, it's really that same type of feeling when you're working in our branch locations, as being part of a team, but wanting to win that championship as an employee.
Great. Amy, thank you. And we're glad you got back with us. Great. Let's see. I tell you what, Orville, can you tell us a little bit about Waffle House? And then we'll go to Athletes to Careers with Mike.
You're on mute, Orville.
You're muted, Orville.
Yeah, I'll figure it out sooner or later. But yeah, as the manager trainee, we are looking for that management trainee role, and everyone starts as a manager trainee and kind of work their way up within our organization. So, you don't necessarily, when you come to Waffle House, most people think, hey, I've got a college degree and I'm going to work for Waffle House. But the big picture is we're looking for folks that not to just run one restaurant. We're looking for somebody that learns how to run one restaurant, and then they're going to run 2, 3, 9, and 15 restaurants down the road. So we're looking for that person that has the the capacity and the ability to run more than the one restaurant. So as a manager trainee, it's a 12-week program that you get into, and we teach you everything about the business, and then you move on to the next level, which is a unit manager, and then a district and a division manager. But we're looking for that person that wants to work within the industry and be a customer service and also a manager of people.
Great, thank you. And Mike, where are you? You're out there somewhere. Can you tell us a little bit about your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So, most of the business partners that we have, we've got probably about, at least pre-COVID, 50 to 60 business partners that really love hiring former athletes, right? They like former athletes that are rookies, that don't have any experience, because they want to groom you and their sales processes and things like that. But they also like some with experience as well. But the majority of the roles that we have with our business partners are business to business sales, as well as management trainee type roles. That's not to say that's the only thing we ever have. I mean, I've placed a social media strategist in Dallas, Texas here about a year ago. But that's the majority of what we have. And just like everybody else has reiterated, it's because of the traits and characteristics that you have from being a student athlete: competitive, results driven, resilient, all that translates into success in the sales world. And one thing to note is that, even though we are a relatively small company, we do have a really far reach. I place candidates anywhere from East Coast to West Coast and anything in between. If you decide you want to relocate to wherever in the country, we most likely have business partners there that are hiring, because all of our business partners most of them are Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies. So they have offices nationwide. And one thing to note about our sales roles is that they all have great base salaries plus commission potential on top of it. So I know there's some student athletes get a little bit scared off from sales because they think, oh, it's going to be commission only and this and that. And so try to debunk that right now. And that's not the type of role we have. But if you're really looking to start a career in sales or a management trainee role where you go on rotational assignments and go through multiple organizations and lines of business within an organization, that's something that I put my contact info in the chat session. So please feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn or here when we go to our breakout room, or email me directly. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you, Mike. So we have two more guests with us that are not necessarily employers I want to introduce. But before I do that, I want to say we literally have hundreds of opportunities represented from the employers who are with us today. Mike probably has 100 right at the tip of his fingers. So I really encourage students to take a minute to explore what is out there for us today. Oh gosh, and I totally forgot Mark, because I was saving Mark a little bit for last with National General, because Mark is one of our career partners and has been for the past 2 years at a very high level. So sorry, I got on a roll there. So let me stop with Mark. And I also want to just recognize that Enterprise has also supported us with some grant funding, and Waffle House has been a sponsor for our student employee appreciation. But for the past 2 years, National General has been a career partner at our highest level. And as Mark shared earlier, about a third of the folks he hires each year are alumni from AppState. So let me turn it over to Mark.
Thank you, Susan. And you just about hurt my feelings. You recovered well though, but you just about hurt my feelings. Hey everybody, it is so good to see you guys. I cannot tell you how exciting it is to see. Well, we've got almost 100 students here, and I've not seen this kind of turnout anywhere at any time since we went to this virtual world, which I hate, by the way. But it is so good to see you. I wish we were in person, but we're not. I'm Mark Crabb, Vice President of Claims, just right down the road in Winston-Salem. We're primarily an auto insurance company, one of the largest in the country. I do hire about 100 claim reps a year, and about a third of those come from AppState. I actually have 9 in training class right now, and 6 of the 9 are Mountaineers. So I love my Mountaineers. My daughter's actually a student there now. She's a sophomore. A claim rep is one who investigates auto accidents, taking detailed recorded statements from drivers, passengers, witnesses, looking at photos of the damages of the car so you can help line up points of impact to see how they hit. Using Google Maps, looking right down at the intersection where the accident occurred to help guide your questioning. And you're the one who puts all these pieces of the puzzle together to determine what really happened and who was at fault. And if it's our insured at fault, how much do we owe for damage to the other car or rental while it's being repaired? We partner with ERAC actually. Medical bills, pain and suffering, those type things. So it's a lot of investigation, a lot of decision making, and a lot of customer service. So if you think that's something you might be interested in, I look forward to seeing you in one of the chat rooms. Somebody mentioned LinkedIn earlier, and I just did a spot check, and 3 of the 4 of you that I spot checked are on LinkedIn. So good job with that. We do use that quite a bit. But yeah, again, thank you for taking the time to be here. I don't know if you were made to be here or not. It doesn't matter. You're here and taking full advantage of it. And with Deanne and Susan and the crew, I can tell you from all of the colleges I've been to in North Carolina, you guys have got the best support group of anybody in the state. So take full advantage of that. You got great people there at AppState to help you.
Great, Mark, I appreciate that. And I do have a big circle around your name on my little scribbles here. So what I also wanted to mention is that Peace Corps was going to be with us tonight, but our representative is ill. And so Deanne is going to go to that Peace Corps room, and I'm going to ask Toronto if you might join her there to just talk about general healthcare professions, because that is an area that we don't have represented tonight. And we also have Celeste Crow, who is with us from campus. And Celeste, if y'all are interested in OT, PT, PA, MD, and you have not met Celeste, you need to get over there tomorrow and be there at 7:55 when she gets on Zoom or walks in the door. Because if you are interested in going to professional school, many of you are exercise science and rec management majors, she is like your golden ticket. If you do what she tells you to do, I promise you, you are going to be admitted to a program. So Celeste, let me be quiet for a minute. And now that I've built you up to be a goddess, I'll let you take it from there.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for letting me come and hang out with y'all tonight. I'm the director of the Health Professions Advising Office, and we help students explore, plan, and succeed in becoming this next generation of healthcare providers. We work predominantly with the students who are interested in graduate level health professions programs. Those are the programs that you have to leave Appalachian to go off and do. But as we all know, healthcare is a team sport. So our professional schools do love our student athletes. We are here to help you figure out the timeline, how to fit everything in to be ready when you're for that application. And we have worked with student athletes from across the various sports in this very competitive journey, but very successfully. So come hang out with us. I'll have a couple of my student peer advisors with me as well that can talk to you about the student perspective.
Okay, great. Thank you, Celeste. And actually, we do have Peace Corps here. We have Jackie with us, who is representing Sierra, who is our regional rep. And so, Jackie, if you will tell us, we will have a Peace Corps room. Deanne, Toronto, and I'll be in the main room if anyone wants just to need general support about health professions. But Jackie, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Hey everyone, my name is Jackie Valadez here in place of Sierra Plato, who is your recruiter. But I do have the pleasure of representing the U.S. Peace Corps here tonight. For anyone unfamiliar with what is the Peace Corps, we are a government agency looking for individuals who are driven and dedicated to empowering our communities overseas through community-led projects for 27 months. We are all over the world, so you have options, and we have 6 different programs like business, education, and health, to name a few. Opportunities after service range from a graduate school tuition reduction, if you don't want to get more loans or you don't even want to go that route, and a fast track to a federal job through a preferential hiring status. So if you're looking at wanting to work for the US Embassy, the EPA, even at Peace Corps, we're here for you. We have over 240,000 who have served, so our network is big. I look forward to meeting anyone interested because we are looking for individuals in all programs. Thank you.
Great. Jackie, we are so glad you could join us. I'm sorry I overlooked you. And we had one other person, Brad, but I have not seen Brad from TTI.
I think he's hoping to get into his breakout room. We've had some family interruptions. So just check the TTI room. I can share with everyone that TTI, that stands for Tektronic Industries. And if you are familiar with the brand Milwaukee Tools, Hoover Floor Care, they offer programs similar to what you've heard tonight, leadership development, management development programs. And they are big fans of hiring app grads as well, and have hired a few athletes, and India is one of them. And I think her last name begins with a P and I can't remember it. So maybe Pierre remembers. But anyway, we've got great people, great opportunities for you to learn about. And again, this is just about making connections, and I'll be in the main room, and just check the breakout room for Brad and TTI as you can. Thanks.
Great, thank you. I think it's India Himley, and she played soccer here at App. Okay, so we're going to pivot because that's sort of sometimes what we do all the time these days. We are not going to have time for 10 minutes in each room. So let's go with 2 15-minute rooms. I'm going to put up right now, these are the breakout rooms, and at 7:45, 7:46, I will bring you all back in here. If you want to, if you get into the room and you're there for a few minutes and you decide you want to go to another one, you can switch between the breakout rooms, but we'll all come back here 7:45-ish, and then we'll go to a second 15-minute session. So just a quick thumbs up. Can people see the breakout rooms? I think you can. Hope I did it right. No.
There's a little button that says join breakout room.
Yes, down at the bottom. Yeah. If you do not have the latest version of Zoom, you will not see it. And if you just stay in the main room, we can put you where you want to go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, everybody go. Some people are going, getting in there fast. They're getting there before the employers. So employers, go. Get in your room.
Susan, I don't see it.
You don't see it? Okay, so Chris, JP, can you help me put Chris in? And let's see, who else? If you can take Chris, Orville, do you see it?
I do not see it.
Let me see if I can get you in there, Chris.
Okay, Orville. Whoops, where'd you go? Hold on. I'm going to put you in Waffle House. Okay, Orville, you're gone. Any other employers need help? Or
Robert with Gallo.
Robert.
Let me see if I can put you in there, Chris. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Ian J. Okay, Robert, you're gone. Should be.
Susan, apparently as a co-host, I can't help you. I'm sorry. So you're gonna have to put Chris in his room. Joe Gibbs Racing.
Okay, Robert, why can't I get? Did you leave that time?
So for the rest of you guys,
Yeah, I
because you
think
don't
he's
have
in
the
there.
most recent version of Zoom, that's why. But if you go down into the More button, if you don't have your screen,
Okay, Chris, you're going. Sorry.
That's where you find the breakout rooms if you have it. If you don't have the most recent, we will have to assign you. So just give us a few minutes.
I tell you, let me just go through the list. Abby Farrell, where do you want to go? Are you there? Jackie, I'm getting you into Peace Corps right now. Okay. Daytrick Harrington, are you here? Drew Hallam, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
And where do you want to go?
I'll go to E&J Gallo Winery, please.
Okay, great. There you go. Jamie Baker.
I can go to the Joe Gibbs Racing.
Okay, great. AJ, I will know your family. Are you here? I'm gonna have to tell you you're on your. Abby, where do you want to go?
Can I go into Celeste's room?
Yes, that's the first one. Perfect. Cameron, I didn't see you. Are you here? Chloe Bell. Where do y'all want to go? You have to all go together. Hold hands, cross the barrier.
Join.
We just worked out how to join you.
Okay, you've got it figured out?
Yeah,
Okay.
We're gonna leave soon.
Okay, all right, go away now. Dorian, where do you want to be? Okay, skipping you. Evan Harden. Oh, sorry. Did I skip Dorian?
It's
I'm
Celeste
sorry.
fine.
Where do you want to, Celeste? Okay, great. And Evan Harden.
Yes, ma'am. See, did Pierre mention something about a Secret Service or somebody in this call?
Yes, I'm going to put you in with Pierre.
Actually, that link is
sorry.
That link is already in the chat because it's an outside link because they can't use Zoom. So scroll up in the chat and you'll see it. Anybody wanting to go into the Secret Service, you can go ahead and put yourself in that because that is a completely different. You have to follow that link.
Yeah.
Security.
Here, can you put it in there again? Gabby, where do you want to go?
We don't care.
Okay, I'm sending you to Enterprise.
Okay.
Grant.
Hey, excuse me, ma'am.
Oh,
is it okay if I do Toronto?
Yeah, so just stay right where you are. And Carrie, Gabby, Sydney, Kinsey, where do y'all want to be? You're all happy. Now you took your picture off. Where do you want to go? I'm going to send you somewhere if you don't choose. Y'all are going to Enterprise. Maya, are you there?
Yeah.
And where would you like to go?
I'll go to Enterprise.
Great. Mike Almonsi? Gibbs?
Yeah.
Okay, super. Molly and Lauren?
Can I go in Toronto's room, please?
Sure, just stay right here. Okay, Riley?
Can I go with Jackie in the Peace Corps, please?
Yeah, that's great. That's what I want to do when I grow up. Sean, where do you want to go?
Gibbs.
Gibbs, okay. And all right, so who have I missed? Molly and Lauren, you're staying here. Malik, I missed you.
Could we put AJ Hall into Toronto's room?
Yeah, that's this room. And Cameron, where do you want to go? I see you now.
Oof, it is tough.
Well, you're at the end of the list. You should have made up your mind by now.
I've been looking through the list. I'm like, goodness, they all sound good.
You're a business major?
Can I get can I get into Celeste?
Celeste? Okay, great. I'm sending you there. I'm sorry, Evan, you want to stay here or do you want your business, aren't you?
I'm trying to join the call that Pierre put out for the Secret Service, but it's giving me a hard time.
You may have to exit out of this. So save that link, exit out of this, and then open it in a new window and try it because it's a different software package. So shut this one down and then just remember to come back to us in about 10 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm sorry, Zach, do you need to be somewhere or are you where you want to be?
Joe Gibbs Racing doesn't appear to have anybody right now. So anybody wants to talk to them, they should jump in if you can.
Amber's open, Orville is open, all awesome, great people.
Yes.
Can I go to Celeste
ATI.
room?
Yes, Abby. Okay. And then I'm going to make another room for Toronto here in a minute, but we've got Toronto here and Deanne. So everyone who's here, chat me if you want to go somewhere else. And I'm going to try to add another room. Okay, I'm going to mute myself. I think I'm going to mute myself. So this would be a time, I think, about sort of general health care, health careers. So anybody can jump in.
Okay, well, I guess I go ahead. Well, my main job here at App Healthcare, I look over 3 counties, dealing specifically with COVID outbreak right now, and so it is busy. And I am the liaison to ASU specifically. I kind of fell into the healthcare system. I really didn't choose it. I was the assistant director of sports, kind of fundraising there at App, and then I kind of found another passion. And then after that, I fell into this role once I interviewed, got the job like 2 days later. And it went from a team of 3 to now I oversee around like 35 people, plus every now and again. So it's been a growing experience. Healthcare is one of those things that's always changing. It's always a different software, always new data coming out, new CDC guidelines and everything else. But I want to open it up to you all. Do you all want to talk about healthcare? Do you all want to talk about the experience coming straight out of college, since I'm like fresh two-ish years out? Do you all want to talk about anything?
Could you talk more about like coming out of school and like going to job? Because like I'm a nursing major at health, so it's also like kind of scary for me because I know like I'm supposed to like apply to jobs. It feels like in November or October, and not even having that much like nursing experience and trying to do that. And so it's kind of hard for me. I feel like being up in Boone to be able to, like, I'm from the Charlotte area, so it's like when I graduate, my goal is to kind of get back kind of to the big Charlotte area. But it's like I don't really know how to like make the connections back in this area, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. So at Healthcare, we hire a lot of nurses, a lot of MAs and MDs, and we hire a lot of every type of thing you could believe. And so the first thing I would say to look back is like Mecklenburg County Health Department. They're huge. Needless to say, they are huge. And then I would say when it comes to applying for certain kind of nursing and medical field jobs, you're right to start early, but I would say like spread the net a little wider, because in some of those more, how would you say, urban settings or more desirable settings, it's kind of harder to gain entry without any experience. And so something maybe around Mecklenburg County would be easier to gain experience and then go into Mecklenburg County, or even some of the hospitals there. They're always looking for nurses. Nurses are like in a shortage, especially right now. So I feel like you wouldn't have a problem in applying and finding a job. It's just kind of what you're looking for specifically. And I don't know if you've been through like rotations or anything on the different units you have. Okay, so what unit would you kind of be interested in?
Well, I'm still obviously like a first year, so I've only been through a few units, and I continue to rotate coming up as well. But like currently, because I know it changes a lot with nurses throughout our time, but like currently ICU is kind of something I'm looking for, which I know is harder for first year. I know coming out, but I know people who have done it and have got it. But like, I know also coming out, I want to just obviously try for the specialty I want, but also be happy to have a job, because then I know within what specialty I go in, I'll still be getting experience to then be able to take that to then try and go into the like ICU even like in 2 years after I get experience, like being the nurse, like right off the bat.
And then going into that, you might want to look at certain certifications that certain nurses have. I know I have some friends that are flight nurses. They're in the helicopter going to certain scenes and things of that nature, and they double as ICU nurses. And you want to look into certain certifications, because once you graduate being a nurse, then it's kind of like now you get a master's in nursing, and now you can get this certification, that certification, and everything else. And ICU, I feel like every nurse I talk to wants to go into the ICU unit until they work that first shift, and it's 12 hours long. Then they're like, but most of them love it. So I'm not discouraging you from going into it, but I would say when you're interviewing for it, just make that a point of interest. To go to your interviewer and kind of make sure they know your points of interest in the ICU or anything else. Does that make sense, Gabby? Did that help?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Of course. Dorian, AJ, Malik, Dietrich, Dylan, Molly, Grant, any questions when it comes to interviewing, jobs right out of college, what to look for, healthcare system, anything? I'm an open book.
I think I've been wondering a lot and kind of just thinking about like the next step, if I should do grad school or if I should wait and kind of like figure out a more specific route. I'm a public health major, and it's fortunate because it's super broad, but it's like it's almost too broad. So I don't know if I should graduate and try to find a job and work and then find a specific intention for it and then go get my master's in that, or if I should just do it while I'm young, because I feel like I'm going to leave school and like really just not want to come back to it. So I don't know if I should just go ahead and do it now.
Yeah, that happens a lot. So that's a question we get posed a lot. Should I go to grad school right after I graduate undergrad? Should I go to grad school after I get 2 or 3 years of experience? Of course, it's up to you. But for me, I did it right after I did undergrad, just because I was already in the school mode myself, and I know myself. And if I get out of the kind of school mode, I wouldn't be able to get back into it. Like I may go back and get a doctorate degree while I'm still kind of youngish. But you also want to make sure that you know that you want to get your graduate degree in a certain field. So say you like public health, and when you go to your grad degree, going to that graduate degree will kind of help you narrow down what specific lane you want to be in public health somewhat. I have an MPA degree, a master's in public administration. That can go into certain different ways. It can go to emergency management, city and town management. It can go into budgeting. It can go into like engineering type deal. It could go into many different ways. And so it helps you. Graduate degree isn't like a specific degree, unless you're getting like an engineering degree or something like that. It's specific. But most public health, public administration, masters of business, and things like that, it's kind of a broader spectrum that shows you a more in-depth, I feel like a more in-depth look of business, of public health, of whatever it is you're going to get your master's in. And then from there, you have the skills to be able to go into that job that you would want to more specifically, I feel like. And so A master's degree doesn't narrow your scope. Sometimes it actually widens it because it allows you to see more of what the actual job may consist of rather than an undergrad degree. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Of course. Anyone else? 3 ladies on the couch.
Can I just ask a question for people who just came back in this room? Did you see the message that said you could go wherever you wanted to go? Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Of course. Is there any other questions? AJ, Malik, Jessica, Bria, Grant, anyone that has any other questions about should I go to grad school? What is the hiring experience like right out of school? Healthcare system itself, the bond between city and town government and healthcare, the bond between large entities in certain communities and healthcare, how that works out. Healthcare is a broad topic, like you said, Molly. Healthcare is a very broad topic, and there's a lot of different ways it can go. You just have to figure out your niche in it and what you enjoy mostly. Just like government is a broad topic. You could do a lot of things, and it's one the same. So that being said, does anyone have any certain questions about interviewing or healthcare or graduate school or?
Can I jump in and say, with the few minutes we have left, Gabby, I don't know, or some of you might be interested in talking to Jackie with Peace Corps, because healthcare is a big, big area where they hire. And as she mentioned, if you do Peace Corps, certain graduate programs will give you a scholarship when you come back to do your master's. But they do amazing. I'm always looking at their opportunities. They do amazing work, especially around immunizations, HIV, elder health, children's health, but that may be another thing you want to explore too. So in our few minutes left.
They do. I actually had a classmate that was from the Peace Corps.
Is it in graduate school?
It was. She was in my MPA program, and she went into the nonprofit track of the MPA program, and now she is still in Boone working with a nonprofit, one of the many up here.
Is it Charlene?
No, it's Sarah. She graduated with me 2 years ago. I think it was Sarah. I think she's working with Oasis.
Okay.
But I see we have some new people. Raleigh, do you have a question about healthcare or interviewing or resume building or anything like that?
I kind of have a question about healthcare. I'm coming from a sustainable development background, and I know that you're working with COVID vaccines and everything like that. So I guess not coming from a necessarily super scientific background, could there be a place for me in healthcare from more of a community development standpoint, community like building?
Yes, definitely. There's definitely a place for you in healthcare and in government itself. And so healthcare and government are one and the same. And then, so say, I know I did an internship in Decatur, at Decatur, Georgia. It was just kind of a suburb there in Atlanta. Their government actually rebuilt most of their buildings and made it, I think it's like silver, I forget what the actual thing is. It's kind of like made it very sustainable and like silver rated, or you may know what I'm talking about.
The LEED standard?
Yes, a LEED standard. They made it silver rated and things of that nature. And that had a lot to do with, in conjunction with the engineering, of course, healthcare. And so, like I was saying before, you probably hopped on, the government and healthcare is one and the same. They both work, can join, come together, shoulder to shoulder, right there. And so, someone that could make healthcare more sustainable, it always goes together, for sure. And it brings a different type of view to healthcare, which is always valuable because we're always making new processes, making things more accessible, making things easier for people. That's kind of our job in that instance. And you don't have to have a scientific background or even kind of a specific healthcare background to get into healthcare. It's kind of like a passion for people mostly. It's a passion to help people. I think it's one of those things. Does that answer your question, Raleigh?
Yes, thank you.
Does anybody else have a question? Darian, Labria, Clayton?
I got a question for you, Toronto, if nobody's asked this. Coming out of school, would you have ever imagined you being in the field that you're in right now? And if not, how did you make your way there?
That's a great question, Pierre, seeing that you know the answer. But no, I would not have imagined I've been in the healthcare field. So coming out of school, for those of you who don't know, I was a GA, a graduate assistant under Doug and with Pierre, and I helped with student development, and I helped with fundraising, and I helped with everything you could basically help with in the athletic facility. I did for 2 years. Bad jobs, good jobs. It is what it is. Even ran concession stands at baseball and everywhere else. So I did everything in athletics, and I was like, my career is going to be in athletics, college athletics. And I ended up working for Doug for like a year and some change. And then it was a passion, but I had a passion for helping a broader spectrum of people. Not saying student athletes don't matter, because apparently you all matter to me. I am a past student athlete. You all always have a special spot, but just seeing the effect of, especially a rural area up here in Western Carolina, I just couldn't kind of sit by and kind of watch. And so I kind of started reaching out through a network of people that I knew, professors and everybody else. And a professor emailed me a job, and then next thing I know, I had an interview within 48 hours, had a job within the end of the week. And then then COVID hit, and then my role changed. And now I'm a supervisor over 35, 40 people at some points during the day, helping with vaccines, helping with COVID testing, helping with ASU, helping with everything, dealing with a lot of data. And so my career path has not been one of a straight line. Nobody really has a straight line career path. I feel like, especially unless you're like an engineer or something, it's kind of straight line then. But coming out, I just say have an open mind about where to go in different experiences. And from each job, what I learned is that you can take that experience from that job and morph it to fit your life, morph it to fit another job. So you could take any experience and morph it. So Pierre, I hope that answered your question. Of course, I can drop my contact information. Let me find a chat box. And yeah, I'm here in Boone, so I'm a local contact you can have. I go back and forth between Boone and other places, but mostly here in Boone right now helping. So I would put my contact information here in the chat box if anyone is too shy to ask a question in front of everybody and you just want to email it to me. We can email back and forth, or it could be a quick phone call. Those are quicker and easier, or anything else. You have any more questions, Pierre?
And that's it. Susan, is everybody back?
I think we have a lot of people back. Some people went ahead and left, but I think everybody came back from the breakout rooms, and thank y'all for staying with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Here, we'll turn it over to you to close.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody for joining this call, especially to the folks from the Career Development Center. Thank you so much for putting this on for the students. It's a huge opportunity. As someone mentioned earlier, I hope you realize the people and the resources that you have access to right now. And, this doesn't happen once you leave these walls. Or if it does, you have to pay a lot of money to try to get someone to help you to learn how to network and get placed with jobs and that sort of thing. So please take advantage of these folks at the Career Development Center whenever you can. Thank you so much to the employers for joining us. I know it's late at night. We appreciate you adjusting your schedule for us and coming on and talking to our student athletes, not only about the things you do, but helping them to network and helping them to be successful in their time once they do venture out and try to look for jobs. And last but certainly not least, thank you to all you student athletes for investing in yourselves. Yeah, I know y'all hear me say this all the time. You have to invest in yourself. If you want an employer to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in you, possibly millions of dollars, you have to be willing to invest in yourself, the most important thing, which is time. And you guys decided to do that tonight, and I appreciate each and every last one of you for doing that. Please keep in mind that coming up, I believe it's Wednesday, right, Susan? Is going to be is it tomorrow or Wednesday?
The 17th of February,
Okay,
a week from this Wednesday.
Okay, so a week from this Wednesday, very cool opportunity that's coming up. And it's going to be a nice networking event / what we had at the beginning of today's session. We're going to have students from 4 different UNC system schools, from North Carolina Central, UNC, UNCG, and of course, AppState, to go on and hear employers talk about the different things that they're doing for the diversity of their organization, their diverse employees, what they're doing for them in that area. So please join that. It's called the One Way initiative. And so you should get some information from me about that coming up. And please feel free to join on that. If not anything else, just to be able to network with some folks from different universities around our state. You never know when you run into somebody later on down the line, or where you can be an asset to someone, or they can be an asset to you. So you'll get that information with a flyer and the link on it. And again, that's being facilitated by the folks in the Career Development Center, always doing what they can to be able to help you. But if it's not anything else, thank you again to everybody for joining us. Please make sure you save the contacts, keep in contact with everyone here. And if no one else has any questions or anything like that, you all be blessed and have a good night.
Great.
Thanks, Pierre.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Pierre.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, students.
Thank you.